Yo, what's up? You're checking out another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
Hey, what's up? I'm DJ Keo, back again.
We are back. Dude, let's talk about this NFTs because here's the thing. It's kind of confusing because, we're all talking about blockchaining and all this. But I've seen like a lot of like fine artists selling, pieces of art, via, non-fungible tokens. But explain to us what this this whole thing is about and how is it really affecting or could affect, musical artists?
Well, okay, first things first, that a non-fungible token is considered like a unique character on the internet, a unique picture, a unique song that only the person who bought it can have access to. So, with the internet, everything is duplicated a million times. Once you upload it, everybody has access to it.
Right.
A non-fungible token makes it so that this is special. And it's turned into this art gallery type thing where people are creating art and they're selling access to look at it, at the art, but you can only see it in this one place. And it is, when I say it's taken off like a rocket ship, because everything's on the internet. Everybody has access to it. When you tell somebody, well, you can only have one of this one thing, they start getting excited and interested into it. So we have artists who put albums out there you can only get this one album.
Yeah.
Or there's artists that made like 33 albums, and you can only buy these 33 albums. You can't play it anywhere else. You can't listen to it anywhere else.
But he made a boatload of money too.
Yes.
I mean,
$11 million this guy made.
Check it out. But does that mean, because when you think about something like this, it's kind of exciting, but there's still a lot of like, questions that, individuals may have, like, well, how do I get an NFT or blah, 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 but does that mean that, the major labels may be scared as anything because now an artist can say, I already have a fan base. I'm putting my work into this like sort of NFT. I don't need you. And I'm making $11 million that's coming directly to me. Bye music major labels. Yeah. I mean, do you think that's even possible?
Yeah, absolutely. But we're at a point now where record labels are basically redundant and unneeded. Anybody has access to Spotify. Anybody has access to YouTube. It's very easy to get your song or like whatever your music or article posted on a blog site to get pushed out to everybody. It's super easy. You wouldn't believe how easy it is. And like the things that you use the record company for, they don't need them anymore to record music, to shoot music videos, to have a budget to do all these things. You can basically do it for $1,000. You can get the ball rolling and handle everything.
Maybe even less.
Maybe even less.
I mean, like, people are shooting feature films on iPhones.
Yeah, I had a record deal. Our budget was $300,000, and we used it to master our album and record and do all this stuff. We paid for like a string orchestra to come in there, but like only if a couple years would pass, because this happened in 2000. So 10 years later, I could have done everything on my laptop at home. That's that much of a difference.
And in the box,
in the box. We were recording on 2-inch reels and all this other stuff, like, things that cost some money and ADATs, and like it was a whole like.
Oh my goodness!
When we recorded the album, that's when Pro Tools started becoming a thing, and so like it was still a wow, recording on a computer, that's insane. No one would want to do that. Like that's where we are, and in that short amount of time, we went from this is insane to this is a very real possibility to this is only way how we do this now. And the same thing has happened for the music industry. We're at the point now where I don't need to get signed to a label to become famous, to sell music. And now, before, like you could get it, become famous, but you couldn't become wealthy. Now you can become wealthy too. And this is the difference maker for why people would bother going to a record company anymore. So these NFTs, you have
non-fungible tokens. Wow.
Yeah, you have Dead
why
Mouse.
The name
you have a lot of but you have a lot of like major dance music artists that are just jumping on board because I think dance music in particular, these guys are on the forefront of a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff
Mhm.
with technology and sound, and a lot of artists are all of a sudden making these things. You have Lindsay Lohan making NFTs. That's how far this has gotten, and
What with like
it's
art or
getting out of
music?
control. Yeah, like it's gotten out of control, and I
Mhm.
think it's going to be a factor very soon. So you have this unique thing on the internet. You pay for it. You can only see it on the internet, which I don't like that. Like there's things that I'll admit I'm a caveman in certain respects, and
Right.
having something that's only on the internet is stupid to me. But I get it. At the
So
same time, like I understand.
let me ask you this. So they couldn't download the music. They only had the ability
No,
to
you can only
consume it
see it on the internet.
online.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
only see it on the
okay.
internet.
And
So
there's a
there's no
like unique
physical.
identifier too.
Yeah, there's no physical thing
Wow.
on your. You don't have a physical one of a kind.
That's kind
I
of
like I made a
insane.
video about this, and I gave the
Mhm.
analogy of paintings, like a Picasso. Picasso only made one art, like one painting that looked like that,
Yeah.
and that's why it was valuable. And then you have this history and whatever, and people looked at this and said, "This is art." So now people are looking at this internet thing that's you can only have one of, and because
I
it's
don't know
unique,
about this.
that created the art part. The uniqueness made it interesting. If you go on Spotify, there's a million versions of your song. I go on iTunes, I can download a
That kind of
billion
sucks too.
songs.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I can download a billion songs. I can hand out. I can take a thumb drive and hand it out to people in the middle of the street. I can do all of these things that makes it not valuable. Because at least when you have the physical thing, like your records, they only printed so many records,
Right.
and so after a while, like if you want an original pressing of something, it's valuable. That unique thing that you only have one of made this thing special, and it's
Mhm.
taking off to the point where I think people need to pay attention to this, especially in the music industry. But
I
we should talk about. Oh, go ahead.
I'm a little. I mean, I'm a little skeptical about this here, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
See, I mean, the thing about companies like Robinhood, and then the meme stocks, and then
Yeah.
GameStop. It's these things are just like, I mean, they're fun and they're quick, and people think you can make a lot of money, and you have Bitcoin and all this other stuff, and other people trying to create, other companies trying to create cryptocurrency, and
Yeah.
it's will something like a Bitcoin replace gold? I don't know. Will Bit
Maybe.
Yeah, but I understand like some countries, I think Argentina or one of those South American countries, now gives you
Mm-hmm.
the ability to pay for things like utilities and whatnot, like with Bitcoin, right? Kind of
Yeah.
silly, but I don't know about that. But
I think
here's
there's
the
a very
thing.
real possibility they could replace the money and use Bitcoin for Argentina, like
Yeah,
places that
see,
are
yeah,
despotic and
I
everything's destroyed.
I know that at
Yeah.
some point that we will not carry in America. People carry cash. I know at some
Mm-hmm.
point that's not going to be the case. People will not carry cash. Everything to be
Yeah.
done off of their phone or on their like watch or something like that. But I'm still a little skeptical about this because you know it just sort of blossom out of nowhere, right? And it's just like, hey, NFTs. And then, just about a
Mm-hmm.
week ago, a friend sent me something. He was like, dude, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw my art up and sell it, via
Mm-hmm.
NFTs. And then I go to this website, which is a website specifically for fine artists where you can sell your art.
Yeah.
Check this out, via NFTs. You don't own it.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so
you're at the
there's
mercy of the
yeah,
internet, and but like the unique thing with the NFTs is that once you have that ID number, that's yours. They can't
yeah,
take it back.
right. But okay,
And
that's fine, right? But what happens
yeah.
like so if you're talking about fine art, so like you said, fine art, I buy fine art, I want to put it up on my wall. I want it physically, right? So it's just like
Mm-hmm.
these people selling digital art for like 10, 20, $30,000.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, now you, myself, anyone else has this digital art that's being sold via, non-fungible
Mm-hmm.
tokens for $10,000, $15,000, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
own it. I mean, we don't own anything. I mean, how do we
You don't.
put
You're
it up
missing
on our wall?
the
Yeah.
physical aspect of it, and I think that they
How
have
do
to
I
do
how do
some
I
kind
how do
of.
we stream music? How do we listen to those albums we bought via these NFTs?
I think that there needs to be a way to take it off of the internet and to bring it to your house.
Yeah.
And without that aspect of it, I think it's the end user. Like you have, like, say for instance, the internet. You have your hub, but you have to get to the curb with your
Yeah.
internet.
Right.
And then if you can't get to the curb,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter how fast the pipeline is and all this kind of stuff. So we need to get to the curb part for the NFT. And there's things like digital frames and this kind of stuff, but it still requires power, and like
Yeah. You
there's all
see,
these factors at hand for
right.
making this thing valuable to
Sounds
me. But
like you're spending more money to just to consume this digital piece of art
yeah,
you bought, you know?
but the thing is though, like we have to take it away from ourselves. You know, people who are born in the last 10 years have only lived in the world with MP3s and don't know what a cassette tape is. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Let
have to
alone
take
an
it away
eight
from.
track.
Yeah. So like we have to take it away from our mindset. There's people who just love the idea of something's on the internet and that's valuable to them is because it's on the internet.
They can pull it
So
up on
like
the phone.
the next generation is going to look at, they're not going to be like, well, I want a painting and this rare painting is valuable to me. It's going to be like, this string of numbers is valuable to me. And I'm the only one that has access to it. So like
So,
I mentally we have to subtract ourselves because it's not for us. I
right.
would never buy anything like that. I would sell
Yeah.
it, sure, but
Yeah.
I would never buy it
I
because I
mean,
want the physical record in my hand. I
if
want the
you
physical painting in my hand.
want to buy an album I release
Mm-hmm.
in the digital realm where,
Mm-hmm.
you can't just like, again, it's not just something you can pull up on, a streaming service or something like that. And just really quickly, think about this here. So you buy a piece of fine art for $15,000. What do you do when you want to show it? Pull it up on your phone like, dude, look what I just bought, $15,000. So yes, you have that
Yeah.
unique identifier. But again, I think with the whole art thing, I think it's kind of weird. I think with the music thing, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, how do I download it? How do I
Mm-hmm.
buy that? Okay, so the album I bought as a DJ, how do I play that in one of my DJ sets?
You can't. You can't.
That's what I'm
So
saying. So
you
I
have
think,
access to it, but you don't have access to it.
dude, that is so weird to me. Now, I think that NFTs is interesting on the business side. I'm not talking about like things that,
Mm-hmm.
consumers, users should be able to download to consume or at least
Yeah.
stream on some sort of a service to consume, right? I think with art, I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand the whole digital art thing. You're paying 15, 20, $30,000, whatever it is to say,
Yeah.
hey, look what I got. It's on my phone, yada, yada, yada. I don't know about that. The
See,
DJ
for
stuff,
me,
yeah.
I get it. I don't like it, but I get what they're trying to do.
I mean,
Uh,
what is it that they're trying to do? I mean, like, what is
they're
it
trying to
that you
make
get?
you get something unique from the internet where everything's a photocopy and everybody has access to the same stuff.
Okay.
You get something unique, and that's what you're selling. You're buying
It's
uniqueness.
Do you think this
It's
is
like,
basically a millennial Generation Z thing?
yeah, well, it's definitely for a next generation for
Mhm.
people that grew up in a world where everything is plentiful.
Right.
You know, I look on the internet, everybody has access to the same picture, everybody has access to the same whatever, music, whatever. Everybody, it's a communal thing. This is taking the communal thing out of it and making it, this is on the internet, but only I can have it. And that
Mhm.
the I can have it thing makes it exciting. It's like I understand that concept, but for me personally, I want the physical thing in my house.
I want the
I
physical
want
thing.
I want to, like, do you remember when Wu-Tang made that album and they sold it to, what's his name, Martin Shkreli? They made
The big
Wu-Tang,
farmer guy, uh-huh.
yeah, the Farmer Bro. Like they made
Mhm.
an album and I think he bought it for like $1 million,
2 million.
but like it's 2 million. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this guy paid $2 million
One
for
of
an
a kind.
album
Mhm.
that no one's ever heard before.
Mhm.
And that was the cool, unique thing to him. And still to this day, no one's heard the album. outside
He
the
said,
members of the group. Yeah, but
he
like
said he
nobody
was gonna
else has heard
release
it.
it. He said he was gonna release it online. I think Ghostface was like, "Dude, don't get me started,"
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. But
Yeah, he backed down. But like the point is
mhm.
that he had a thing nobody else has access to, and that's what makes it valuable. So like in a digital age, unique numbers and characters is what's valuable to you now. So you gotta think
So
about like in the Matrix world.
mhm. Yeah, right, exactly. It's just like it's even like even in Star Trek or
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
something
you
like
gotta
that.
go in
It's
the
like
room.
money is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah,
money doesn't even exist, right? So it's
yeah.
something like
You
that.
got
So
you got to think about it in those terms.
right. So continuing on the non-fungible token thing, again, that's a really just who thought of that name, non-fungible, token. Um,
Yeah.
but the Kings of Leon did the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, and they sold $2 million. I mean,
$2
again,
million.
worth of something that no one physically owns. But I think, again, I'm kind of skeptical about like
Mm-hmm.
NFTs, but I love the fact that artists are saying, hey, you know what? We can make money. Screw the majors. Screw,
Yeah.
Spotify. I mean, 2 million? Come on.
Yeah.
That
This
is
is gonna make a
awesome.
gold rush.
Yeah.
After the other dude, what's his name? Blue or something like that. It was the letter 3. I forgot his name. And so he made 11 million. These
He
guys
made
made 2
11
million.
million, right? Uh-huh. Yeah.
There's going to be a gold rush. I forgot how much Dead Mouse has made from this because he's selling art, like unique Dead Mouse helmets and
Right.
stuff like that online, and some other
Digital.
stuff.
I mean,
And
listen.
Daft Punk with their stuff was selling through the roof. I don't know how much money they've raised from this, but
Wow.
everything was
Wow.
selling like crazy after they retired.
I'm
And
all
so
for
people
the
wanted a
artists
unique
making money,
thing.
man. I'm
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah. So that's the thing, though. I don't want anyone to get the impression that I'm against it. Like, I I understand it. I don't like it, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And I definitely know this is not for me. So I'm not worried about like
It's
me not liking
yeah.
it doesn't affect me and it
It's
doesn't
not for
affect
me.
what you think about it. So definitely like I would like to separate that. But
Yeah. I mean,
I understand from a logical standpoint for me, I want the physical thing in my hand. Like I want like how Martin had the Wu-Tang album, I want that album in my hand.
right.
And
Mhm.
so I can put this on my wall like a gold plaque and be like, you don't have access to that.
But
Like,
imagine
this is just
this.
mine.
Imagine this though. Oh my goodness, right? Okay, so they sold this one album physical for $2 million, right?
Mm.
Imagine the Wu-Tang lost tapes,
Mm-hmm.
NFT. Oh my goodness. They could possibly make more money than they've ever made in their entire careers as artists, right?
Yeah.
In
Like
an
this kind of
NFT.
stuff is going to be the future because it's unique. In a
It
world
is.
where everything is all over the place and is plentiful, unlimited, having the one thing that nobody else has is valuable. It's like having a Ferrari that you don't drive. It's the multi-million-dollar Ferrari X or whatever it's called that
Yeah.
you cannot drive it.
That thing is
You
like
can
$2
only
million,
put it in your
isn't it?
you could only just
Hmm.
put it in your garage and look at
Wow.
it. And so nobody, unless you tell
Absolutely
somebody, nobody
insane.
else knows you
Hmm.
have it. You can just go downstairs in your slippers and be like, I have a Ferrari. And then go
Yeah.
back upstairs and live your life. Like that's all you can do with it. And so for the people who want to drive the car, it's insane to them. It doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
But for the person who looks at this as art to me, because that's what art is. Whatever you find valuable.
Right. Exactly.
Somebody looked at some scribbles and from a Monet and was like, "This is
Individual
valuable to
thing.
me,"
Yeah. I
and that's
do
it.
again, this isn't something, this is not for me, but I love the fact that an
Mhm.
artist can now say, hey, I have 10,000 fans on Instagram or YouTube that follow me, whatever. I'm going to put this new album out and sell it via NFT.
Yeah.
They can possibly, and this goes to the same concept, we were talking about the last time we had a chat where, you can press up
Mhm.
like 20, 60,000 pieces of vinyl back in the day and make $300,000, make a living off of it. You're
Yeah.
creating one piece of art and you're saying, hey, it's now for sale with a unique identifier, go and buy it, you can possibly make, like, these artists doing like millions of dollars off of this, man. This is exciting for artists. I mean, again, not for me, but I love that it's out there, and I love that there's something disruptive, you know,
Yeah.
that's saying to these like companies that just completely take our art and do whatever they want to with it, like, hey, you know what? We don't have to deal with you anymore. We can sell this over here, make way more money than you're giving us, and we never ever have to put this piece of art on your platform. I love that.
You skip it. I don't need to be in the
skip
store.
it.
I don't need to be anywhere.
Yes.
Just go
I
right over
love
their
that.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, what do you think the long-term ramifications of this is going to be? Because there's going to be ramifications. This is not going to just live in a bubble here. And I don't think that this is short-term where this is done after a while.
Well,
the fact that somebody spent $11 million on this says that this is valuable to somebody. It doesn't make sense to us, but there's somebody in the world that thinks this is worthwhile. So long term, what do you think this is going to be?
Okay, long term, I think this is. I mean, again, if you listen to what the Wall Street business, people are saying, this is like excellent in that sort of like Wall Street business space. They love this. It's going to possibly outdo Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think, has like a $22 million like cap or something like that, or is it 22 billion, something like that. But but I think that this is going to, be awesome in the business space. It's going to take off in the creative space as well. But I think once people start understanding that, oh, wait a minute, I don't even own this, then I think, people may start to understand exactly what it is that they're getting. I think that it's going to take off, but I also think that once people are educated, because right now there's not a lot of like education out there about what this is and what it actually means when you use this sort of like platform or this service to purchase a piece of art. What does it actually mean, So I think, people need to get a bit more educated about what this is and actually what it is that you own once you do use this. Like, how do you get NFTs? How do you deposit this stuff,
The people who buy it, they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
This hasn't reached the normie space where everybody's like, oh, I let me check out this NFT thing. It's still very niche and for unique people who understand the internet and the kind of stuff, and they're forward thinking investors for sure. I think that this is a factor for investors and people who are ahead of the game. This is them getting into something new because it's fairly new. I think it's only been like a year or two old.
Yeah.
I forgot when it started, but like it's still fairly new technology. And like we were talking about, to get to the curb, there's no curbside thing for it. It's still looking at it in a browser, and so it's fairly new. But like there's a very real possibility that people are going to create TVs to hang on your wall that just display Bitcoin stuff or just to display NFT things, so things that are unique that only you have access to and you can only watch in your house. Like I think there's going to be stuff like that for sure, right. Or some kind of 3D image that you can only see if you wear goggles or whatever, but to everyone else it's just a flat box.
It's going to be all these other industries like that's going to start bubbling up around this. One quick point about something we were talking about earlier. We were talking about like how Spotify and podcasts and things like that. Amazon and Apple, and this goes back to the NFTs as well, right? But Amazon and Apple, they have a better game plan when it comes to purchasing podcasts, because now with Amazon, they're taking some of those podcasts and making them into Amazon original shows, right? And I'm quite sure Apple is going to do that as well. And there had been talk about Netflix also trying to purchase podcasts and then make them into shows. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because the artists with the NFTs don't have to now necessarily, once they understand and able to educate, their fan base on how they can consume, new pieces of art that a specific artist puts out.
Yeah.
This is not good for Spotify. Let's just say that.
Long term, this is a bad deal for Spotify.
Yeah, because we talk about this all the time. Spotify is a music streaming platform, period. That is it. They do not do anything else at all.
No.
Nothing. And podcasts. But all you're doing is listening on an app. They don't have any other assets to actually expand. Artists, like with articles and just being educated about what people are saying, what industry people, what very experienced and educated and highly intelligent people who study this stuff, what people are saying about how Spotify and these exclusive music streaming services are screwing a mess out of artists. I think users and fans are starting to realize, like, hey, you know what? Let's support this artist in a different way. And these NFTs are going to mean that artists do not even have to deal with companies like Spotify or majors. I like this. It's not something, I still, you know what? I need to get some more information on it because I know Wall Street loves it. I'm not quite sure how it would work in the music space, but I do know Spotify, you better look out for this.
Do you want to transition over to the Amazon, talk about what they're selling?
You mean with the merch and everything?
Yeah, I think it applies to the NFT thing too. I think this all goes together because when you look at them selling a merch, all this goes back is to empower the artists because the artists have been the most vulnerable in the digital age with digital music. Mm-hmm. They've been really vulnerable and they haven't been getting their value for having their music on the internet. There's no value in music anymore. Music is worthless. It's worth less than a 0.000 of a penny. Right. That's what they're telling you music is worth now. It's everywhere. You don't have to do anything to listen to it. It takes no effort.
Right.
And it's not valuable. So adding this type of stuff with the NFTs and people selling albums on them, they're creating the value again for this thing, for the artists.
I think that, okay, so basically what we're talking about here is Amazon is going to create they're going to add the ability for artists to sell merchandise within their streaming platform, their music streaming platform. Now, they did this. This is something they do with Twitch. I mean, if not now, they spoke about, or they are doing it. This is also something that YouTube did with a partnership with Teespring, where they said, hey, you have 10,000 subscribers. You can now, you could put your store on YouTube, right? So I think that, when you really think about it, like a company like YouTube takes, what do they take? 45%, because I mean, hey, they're taking all of this, like, they need all this bandwidth to show like all of these videos at the same time across the world, the globe. So they need servers, they need redundancy, and they got to make money, right? But the artist is still getting 55%, but you're uploading like 4K, 8K, whatever it is, right? And they're saying, hey, you know what, you want to make a bit more money, once you get 10,000 subscribers, if you have a Teespring merch store, you can connect it. Amazon is saying, hey, you know what? If you have a merch store, do you want to sell merch along with your products? You could do it through our platform. This is, again, we just said this previously, a second ago. Amazon, YouTube, Apple, they're just not streaming services.
Yeah.
They have other assets, other things that they can actually combine with their streaming services to make it more profitable for the artist to not just get, $44.48 off of 1 million streams, which is just, again, in and of itself, just ridiculous to say.
Yeah, but you think about it like this. Like, let's say Apple decides to put in So when you're playing your music for Apple Music or whatever platform, and while you're playing the song, a little thing for merch pops up when you're playing the song off of your phone. How much money could be generated from having that little option there?
Bing,
like just press the button.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to buy this T-shirt from this artist?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. How much money could be generated with just that little thing?
Support this artist.
Yeah. Support this artist. Like you gotta think about like Apple can make a ton of money, make their podcast and stuff worthwhile, and the artists who are putting their things on there can make a ton of money. Like this is just potential is endless here.
This is, I mean, we as soon as we a few weeks back we were talking about the ProLink thing where you can now stream and like a song would come up.
Yeah, and tell you what the song title
is.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now the music, the DJ software companies are actually starting to build that within their own software. Yeah. So, I mean, it was cool for you to sit down over a few weekends and like type that out, just code it up and geek out. But these companies that have the bandwidth and the R&D to do it, they're now doing it. And now Twitch is starting to do it. Now it's something that's built into Twitch. And what I said previously was, hey, you know what? Opposed to knocking DJs off of live streaming, why not use your algorithm to detect the music? And then once you know what it is, I mean, like a Shazam or whatever, Apple bought Shazam, right? So once you know what the song is, have it pop up, say, hey, this is the artist that they're playing. Listen to them on our music streaming service or purchase the song here. So you're making money because you own all of these different sort of platforms. And again, you're not just exclusively a music streaming platform. Spotify is not going to be around for a long time, dude. I'm giving it.
No.
I'm going to make a prediction here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Spotify, and I'm not even going to say conservative, but I'm just going to put it out there. I'm giving Spotify 8 to 10 years before it's not even a company anymore. They may even sell themselves.
I think that Spotify is going to MySpace themselves out of this game. And
let's hope.
Tidal and all these other companies are going to take over like Facebook did because they're missing the point and they haven't respected the artists on the platform. And so I think it's a huge factor. The long term, I think is going to be a huge factor. So like, give it a couple of years. You're being too modest here.
What you think?
There's no reason.
I said 8 to 10 years. You think it's like shorter than that, dude?
There's no reason to be on Spotify. There's zero. And for what you're getting, there's multiple platforms to offer the exact same experience. Spotify is not special. The app isn't special. The music that's on it isn't special. Like what you're paying for it isn't unique. Like if it was like $2 a month or something lower,
it's not.
Like it would take something like that. The $9 I'm paying right now, or whatever that you pay, it's not unique. And the people in the new internet age, they don't stick with brands because this is what I've been using. Like Buick, people had a Buick for a long time because my dad had a Buick. Those days are over.
They're over, dude.
Today it's like, oh, this is the new hot thing. All right, well, I'm gonna cancel my thing and just go move over here. Yeah. Look how fast Snapchat popped up, and look how fast Snapchat disappeared for TikTok. It was in a couple of years. And Snapchat was huge.
And here's the thing.
TikTok just took it over for the same thing.
Yeah. And here's the thing. And this is what, again, a lot of on a business side, like the Wall Street side, the originator of TikTok, videos was Twitter's Vine. Yeah, that was the original. And then Twitter was just like, oh, this is boring. We don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, and now you have Snapchat. And now exactly, so it's just like, you got to stay on this stuff,
This Vine was the biggest boneheaded move I've ever seen in my life as far as technology goes.
To just put the kibosh on it,
in a modern era for technology. That was the biggest boneheaded thing I've ever seen. Because you had all the young people who were excited about this thing, and they just moved over to YouTube, and now the younger people went over to TikTok. You had everybody
Right.
here.
Hmm.
People who don't care about Twitter were using Vine.
Yeah.
People who don't have any Twitter followers could care less about 130 whatever 128 characters. They could care less about that.
Yeah.
They weren't building up their following. They were on Vine, and then you killed it for I don't know. Maybe it cost too much money. They're losing money. I don't know what it was. But
Yeah.
Twitter is notoriously poorly run.
Yeah.
It is the smallest of all the social media platforms with the most influence for elections and this kind of stuff. But
Right.
apparently they can't figure out how to make money out of this thing or make it
Well,
worthwhile for people to stay on there.
Twitter does make money. Let's not forget, Twitter is more
Mm-hmm.
valuable than Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
Like,
But like
they
it's
have the
valuable because of
ability. Yeah.
okay.
Well, they have, you're right. They make boneheaded decisions like saying, hey, let's do Vine. And then, hey, let's not do Vine. Right. And then
Mm-hmm.
not, then going from 160 or 40 characters to 160 or whatever it is. I'm losing the count
It's like
here.
256 or I forgot what it
But
is.
Twitter is a very sexy platform when you really think about it, right? It's quick,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy, it's like super duper engagement. It's not fussy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just to take that back to like the Amazon, they made that change to like say, hey, you know what? On our music streaming platform, well, we're going to give artists the ability to sell merch. It was easy. It was sexy. You could do it just like that, right? It's just like, why not do it?
Yeah.
I mean, because maybe you can make, a percentage of the sales, on your platform. Who knows? I mean, I'm going to make a prediction here.
Okay.
So, okay, so now it's just like I still don't know how that's going to work. I know Amazon's going to figure it out. They probably already did. It's probably already working. But it would
for
not.
sure it's working.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if Amazon now gives artists the ability who are selling merch via their music on the Amazon Music app, give the artists or build a platform, a marketplace platform on Amazon specifically for artists who are selling music. So imagine, like, take for instance, like just like a Teespring for artists, but Amazon.
Yeah.
That's
so
possible.
they have a similar thing like that, but not for artists. It's just for everybody.
Right.
But if you narrowed it down and said this is just for music artists or entertainers, whatever, I think that would be a huge factor because so many people are on the platform buying things already. So to add that, it just makes sense.
Man,
so I
Listen,
can see it, man. I can absolutely see it.
I can again, and people have to make money, but I think when you have companies that are like a menace to democracy, like a Spotify, like a Facebook, Facebook, Spotify is just like your days are numbered because I think bigger companies are starting to realize that, well, why can't the artists make a bit more money off of their creativity? We have the platform. We can give them the ability to make money and still just take a little percentage, a transactional, percentage or something like that. I think what's going to be also really exciting and also just another nail in a coffin for Spotify is this whole Tidal and Square sort of partnership, because again, you have Square, Cash App, Tidal. Square is now a bank as well. I mean, I can't wait to see what comes of this because it's going to be amazing.
But why would any artist put music on Spotify at this point? You can make money from Amazon. You can sell your merch. You can go to Tidal, and Tidal is not going to make it there. It isn't yet, so we're all speculating. But Tidal, I believe, is going to use the Square platform and the Cash App platform to give tips and that kind of stuff to artists. They're gonna leverage their resources. Like, there's no reason why these companies didn't buy each other. Like, this whole point.
Well,
So
that
like
was
the odds,
Cash App was that's Cash App was all about that anyway. Like it was
yeah,
created to give artists the ability to make a little extra cash, to
exactly.
make money directly from their
And
fans, right?
to send them easily, to get money to them easily. So like,
Right.
but the fact that a company that does payments bought a music platform,
Hmm.
it just stands to reason that they bought it for the reason to
Hmm.
to merge these two things together.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that, so you have all of these music platforms that are offering you things for the creator, and Spotify is taking the most from the creator. So while they do have the people,
This
if
math
all
is
of the
crazy.
artists
Hmm.
told you, "Hey, get off of Spotify, go use Tidal now," they will.
Yeah.
They will. People were gonna like, oh, okay, because that was the big thing when Tidal got started. Is like, oh, we're gonna have exclusive music. But if Jay-Z and Beyonce and all these other people just said, you know what, screw it, we're not gonna put our music on Spotify at all. Spotify is done. The only reason why they're valuable at any point is because all the music is there. There's no other reason to use Spotify. There's none. I can't think of any other reason.
I think this is the perfect time to talk about this article right now,
Mhm.
and that is, basically they're saying that the majors, the music majors' dominance on a platform
Mhm.
like Spotify is dwindling. So basically, they've been losing over the years like
Mhm.
a specific percentage of their dominance every year since 2017. And that they also said that by 2030, I mean,
Mhm.
2030, come on, right? By 2030, Spotify will be an independent artist dominant platform. So basically,
It's
the
gonna be
majors will
Bandcamp.
be gone.
It's gonna be Bandcamp.
Right. But I'm just like, well, that's if Spotify is still around, you know? Because the
I don't think.
majors are like, I mean, say what you want to about the majors, but that's Wall Street, that's big business, right? So the majors are going to do
Mhm.
what they need to do to make money, right? And if it means
Yeah.
like, hey, you know what, Spotify, you're not the new kid on the block right now. There's another platform. That's where we're going. That's where they're going. They will leave, and that's why I think that if you
Yeah.
look at an article like this, where the music labels, the majors, they see the writing on the wall, and for
Mhm.
Spotify to think that you've been screwing independent artists around, you're going to screw them, you're going to continue to screw them around until 2030.
Yeah. This
That
is
is just
insane to me.
absolutely insane to me. Like, you know what? We are screwing independent artists, and at some
Mhm.
point, our platform will be an independent artist dominant platform. It's just like, no, because you're not even going to be around. Artists, like, the writing is on the wall. People are starting to see that. That's why you have
Yeah.
platforms like Rhythmic Rebellion, not quite sure where that's going, but it's a smart
Mhm.
idea, right? So what do you think about
Mhm.
this? I mean, you think that the majors see the writing on the wall, and they see that not only with platforms like Spotify, but even other sort of like disruptive platforms like Apple and Amazon are starting to realize that we need to do more for the artists. So they're already out in front of it. And the majors know that, it's their time is coming. What do you think about that?
Well, I think one of the biggest failures of record companies in the last couple of years is that they allowed Spotify to play their content, but not have any control of how they play their content. And what I
Right.
mean by that is that if I'm an independent artist and I put my music on Spotify, it's in the same position as a famous artist like Rihanna. It's in the same level. Like there's no distinction between my music and her music. And there
Right.
should have been. There should have been a way to be like, well, this is more important to you than the independent people. And that's why independent artists are taking over the Spotify platform, because there's no distinction between, like, you go on iTunes, right?
Yeah.
iTunes has all of the major artists at the top of the platform. And so you know who to buy. When you go on Spotify, they're just like, there's some new music and here's some playlists. And the playlists have more control over the platform than the labels do. That's a big no-no because the labels don't have any control over who puts the playlist together.
Listen, I mean, it's the right. Okay.
Yes.
We every time we chat, every time we're on a pod, Spotify always comes up. There is not a week that we do not bring up Spotify. And I made the prediction of 8 to 10 years when Spotify is actually doesn't even exist. You're saying even like maybe a few years, 3 to 5 years. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it depends. It depends really what happens with Tidal and Amazon and these other companies. Like Amazon has the money to really push Spotify out of the way. And Tidal is going to get there. If they're turning into a bank, Tidal is going to be there with the money and influence very shortly.
Dude.
Very, very shortly. The amount of money that goes through Cash App and Square right now, imagine you put that behind our music streaming service. Because the infrastructure for Tidal is there. They have the app.
It's already set up.
The music is there. It's all set up. All they have to do is do the push, because they've been doing a very light push. Yeah. And every once in a while I'll go on the internet and I'll see a Tidal has a sale for $4 or whatever.
Yeah.
Every so often. But Tidal hasn't put the backbone of the industry behind them.
Yeah.
And Spotify is skating by on the graces of God's good luck at this point. But these other companies can take their spot very easily.
Tidal, I mean, I tried Tidal out for a complete year before I actually started paying for it, right? Because they had specials like, here's 6 months for $6. Like, here's like 4 months for 99 cents, right? It's just like the monthly subscription really didn't matter to them, right? It's just like they just need people to get on, right? Exactly. They just need people to get on. Now, the whole idea that, hey, you know what? We're going to pool all of the streams and then we're going to pay people accordingly. And which is why they lump, like independent artists with major artists, because those independent artists are also boosting, their streams as well. Everything is being lumped into a pool. And like
it's helping. It's all helping.
I think I don't know if that's like, something that the majors created and told the streaming services like, hey, this is how you have to do it. Or, if this is just something the streaming services do. It's a ridiculous sort of structure. It's just like, why not pay artists based on, people listening to that artist? Yeah. Which is what SoundCloud is starting to do.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about it, but on the platform, but like SoundCloud is paying people proportional to their plays,
right?
Which is what it should be,
right?
And so they've discovered just by accident that when you do that, you get more money versus the peanuts that you're getting from Spotify right now. Because realistically, the super artists that have 1 billion streams, they're getting all of the money.
Yeah.
And then you got 100,000 streams or whatever. You're getting
the mega artists, I'm just like, but is Taylor Swift on a platform like SoundCloud? No.
I think all the record companies are on SoundCloud. So
because again, SoundCloud does have a true music streaming service available, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So check this out. I dug a little deeper into this whole SoundCloud thing. And first of all, SoundCloud just actually made a $200 million profit. This is the first time they've done this like forever, right?
Of all the streaming services, SoundCloud is the only one making money of all of them.
And it's only $200 million. Jay-Z just made $250 million. Selling a platform. But the other thing about this whole, hey, we're going to distribute money fairly. They failed and they put it in certain articles. And then when you went to some of the hardcore industry publications, they broke it down. They said, well, that's for the first 100,000 artists. That's not for everyone. So it's like, so people are like, hey, now I can do this. It's like, no. It's based on it's based on 100 up to 100,000 artists, and you have to be in a certain category. I mean, there are some other things some other hoops you have to jump through. It's not as straightforward. Again, it's just like
Yeah, it's always the fine print. It's always the
Right.
fine print.
But I think like, for again like a company like Amazon to say, hey, you know what, we're gonna have artists like sell merch now, and then for a company like Spotify to say, hey, you know what, major labels will not be the dominant player on our platform,
Mm-hmm.
come 2030. And when I hear
Yeah.
that, I'm like, oh, okay, that means you have 9 more years to screw the mess out of artists. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Spotify,
like
man, I'm serious. I don't, yeah.
the competition is going to be fierce in the
Yeah,
streaming thing. We're going to have because we've had the streaming wars for TV.
right.
We're going to have the streaming wars for music right now, and it's just heating up.
Yeah,
And I'm looking forward to it because you need the competition because these
yeah.
platforms are terrible for the people.
They are. They are for the artists, and I love I love this acquisition. Again, Wall Street got it all twisted. They're like, "Oh, this is a bad acquisition for Square.
Ah,
Why didn't Twitter do it?" It's like, no, Twitter would have been the action
that was
from
the
an
worst
artistic
thing.
point. Yeah, from an artistic point of view, like, no,
Listen,
like you're looking at it from a Wall Street side. It's just like, no, Square, like this. Dorsey doesn't. He may not even care about Twitter.
Dorsey is trying to get out of Twitter as soon as possible. And all of this stuff makes it more possible right now.
He's like, Square is where he's making money.
Careless.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the guy
Yeah.
has a bank now.
Yeah. A
I mean, he
digital
has
bank
a bank now.
for 2021, he's in a different space from everybody else.
From
And
everyone else, from Mark
yeah.
Zuckerberg, from the people from Spotify, the
Yeah, because
people,
these
everything.
other guys, all the other people on social media and the digital space, all these other platforms, they don't have actual value in a market share. They
No,
have their value is based on how many users are there and
right.
perceived value based on their feelings about what this company is doing in the overall space. This guy is actually getting dollars put into his bank account. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the larger this thing gets, the more powerful it's going to get. It's going to be a problem for everybody. Like
You
he
know,
could buy in a couple of years, he could buy Facebook and Amazon and everybody else. Well, not
I mean,
Amazon,
hey,
but
I mean,
he could buy Facebook in a couple of years.
like, look,
Absolutely.
Jeff Bezos, he was like, hey, he came in and bought an institution, the Washington Post. That's an institution. Those are the
Yeah, yeah,
Grams.
yeah.
Georgetown and stuff like that. That's a complete institution when you talk about the DMV. He came in and bought that joint. Then he bought the largest home.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to believe this. He bought the largest home in terms of square footage in Washington, D.C. The largest home, which was like a museum, really, right? And
Yeah,
he
yeah.
bought that, right? It's in the same neighborhood as like the Obamas live in, yada, yada, yada. And, yes, at some point, even, when we spoke about this before, like Twitter is thinking about, buying CNN because they have the money. I mean, CNN is not that expensive in the, when you just really think about it.
Cheap.
Warner
Warner Brothers is liquidating everything right now. They
yeah,
can buy it.
they're like, you know what? It's all about, streaming like movies and things like that, and just to buy like a platform like CNN for like $6 to $10 billion and then like morph it into Twitter, that would be like awesome, But yeah, if there were an uprising, if there were an uproar, if cancel culture said we're canceling Spotify, they would have nothing else because they only have one thing.
Yeah, they haven't expanded spot like if you look at Facebook in particular.
Yeah.
Facebook was like, oh no, only grandmothers are on this platform.
Mm-hmm.
We got to do something to keep the youth here. So they bought Instagram.
You said grandmothers.
And they bought WhatsApp. They had to buy these other things to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And then now Facebook is at the point now where if they didn't have advertising, Facebook would be dead. There's nothing else to go to the Facebook for without the advertising.
Without the advertising, that is 99. I think they said 95 or 99% of their revenue advertising.
Yeah. And they made it so you have to make a Facebook account and you have to put your credit card into Facebook. If you didn't have to do any of those things, people would skip over Facebook. it's a terrible platform. It's
Mm,
an awful design. The things don't work correctly when you're
yeah.
advertising. The advertising doesn't even work correctly. And the thing is, though, because you have Google and Facebook, without
That's
the
it.
infrastructure that Facebook designed, and
Mm,
this one getting back to Spotify. Spotify doesn't have anything else leverage that they could say, well, I know you don't care about looking at cat videos and being mad about politics on Facebook. So, well, at least you can still go on Instagram, or you can still use WhatsApp, or you can still use whatever else. Like Spotify just has Spotify, and then they added podcast, the ability to have podcasts on there, but that's not enough.
yeah.
You need
I
to be in a different space
mm,
outside of the music space.
I think that even Instagram, I think once people wake up, because I still think that a lot of people don't understand that, Instagram is owned by Facebook, which is like astonishing, right? But I think that once people figure out like how bad Facebook is to democracy, and once they start moving away from
Mm,
Instagram, as soon as there is an Instagram competitor, because
mm,
Instagram is simple. When you just think about the technology, of putting something like that together,
mm,
you just have to, the only thing you have to like realize is and take care of is your data infrastructure and make sure that everything is encrypted. 256, you don't want to go with like some ridiculous stuff like some other platforms did where people had the ability to just go in and SSH in and sort of like
mm.
pull all your data, like 2 terabytes or whatever it is of data.
Yeah, yeah.
Once there is a platform that works like Instagram but slightly different,
Mm.
Instagram is done. I mean, because it's not a high end sort of like technological advancement, in
Well,
order in terms of building it out.
well, I think the problem for Instagram was that you're still trying to shoehorn everybody into the square box that you set up from before.
Yeah.
It wasn't free flowing. Like I don't know if you know Vero. That's an Instagram type competitor, but there's it's free flowing. So if you just wanted the pictures, you can post the pictures that way, but you can post the videos, and the videos resize to the screen, and then you can put words on there, and you can do a bunch of other stuff with the idea of what Instagram initially was before. But because that the box they decided of that square platform with the boxes, you have to do video in a certain way. And even your TikTok version of your video is the same way.
Yeah.
Everything's stuck in that screen design that
Hmm.
you have there, and it has no room for movement. Like Vero, I can look at everything on Vero the same way I could on the app on a desktop.
Hmm.
I've watched a movie, the director that I like. I watched. He did a sit down on the platform, and so you could watch the movie with him, and he was talking to you on the platform. You can't
See,
do that
that's
on
dope.
Instagram.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. That's
So
pretty
he's
dope.
sitting there pausing the movie and talking to you
That
about,
is
well,
pretty
listen, my
dope.
thought idea was about this.
Yeah.
And a lot of creative people are going over these other spaces because Instagram is this little square box. That's all
That's
you get
it.
with Instagram.
Yeah. And
And
it's
they're
vertical.
stuck with it. They're
Yeah.
stuck with it.
Yeah.
They can't do anything else. And every
Yeah.
time they change the design, people revolt. So they got to move it back or just move it just a little slightly thing. And that's
Yeah.
not going to work.
You
And
know what?
Instagram days are definitely numbered for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm gonna give that. I think but here's the thing though, and what a lot of people don't understand. What Microsoft sold Facebook the social, is it social media or social networking patent. So Facebook
Mm,
basically owns that patent. So if someone comes up like a competitor that's way better than
mm.
Facebook, they could just sue them like patent infringement, something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
They own
that's
that patent.
they've been bullying people out of the
Yeah,
way for a couple
right,
years
exactly.
now. And
Man,
and so like that's why I don't want to be too like, oh, Instagram has 5 years. Like I don't know, it's gonna be here for a while. But like
yeah,
you can tell, Instagram is concerned because
yeah.
they've been copying everybody.
Everyone,
They've copied
Snapchat,
Snapchat.
everything for real.
They've copied they're TikTok. Instagram is turned into TikTok now.
Zuckerberg, he's upfront with that too. He's like, why create when we can just like take?
Yeah. So he's definitely on that model of, well, we'll just steal it and then we'll leverage our resources and how big we are to bully you out of the space.
Right.
And it's been working for a while, but like the problem is that the older people are using this stuff and the younger people don't know what a Facebook is.
You're like the older folks. It's just like, but hey, you know what? Like when you left like MySpace, you went and got like a Facebook account, right? Because it was clean, right? And it was cool. Facebook was cool, and I still have
where all the girls were. I'm not gonna lie, that's where all the girls were.
I mean, it's like, they had poking, which was like, that was kind of cool. Which they were talking about bringing poking back, but poking was it was like kind of cool. But I don't know. It's
it was
just like
a pickup spot. That's what it was for. It was. Everybody forgets Facebook started off of "Are you hot or not?" That's what Facebook was before.
Exactly.
And that's why it had that frat vibe of I want to go see your pictures.
Exactly.
Go on a date with you. And now it's turned into the grandma's book.
Yeah.
And the older person book.
I'm on a friend told me I'm not gonna I have a and this the other thing Facebook does is, in order for you to create a business account, you need to create a personal account. So now they get 2 for 1. So I have a business. I have one of my business accounts. I was talking to a friend who's a social media expert, and I was like, I don't use Facebook that much. I'm not even, wait a minute. I'm not even going to say I don't use Facebook that much. I don't log on to Facebook anymore. And I stopped using Instagram because I just don't think that I should log on to these platforms and then, hey, now you have the ability to start tracking me because, I'm back on the platform. But I said, I'm tired of this. I said, I don't even want to use this platform anymore. But this business page, I have 5,000 followers on this business page. Tell me what you think. And she went on and she was like, you don't even have any great engagement. She said, you can like delete this business page and, the users wouldn't even notice. And I was like, done. I'm deleting this business page. Like, because again, I have no engagement with those followers. I mean, at all. I mean, they don't engage in my content, maybe my content isn't great, but it's just like, I do get some engagement, but it's not like, it's not crazy. And the other thing with Facebook is, I think to create engagement, you need to do a lot more. Whereas on Twitter, it's a lot easier to create engagement. Because Twitter says you can only create engagement based on these many characters.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a lot easier to go back and forth, but anyway, again,
that's one of the things that I liked about social media. And, social media's got a bunch of negative things, but the one thing I like about it is every platform is different.
Yeah.
Snapchat is different from TikTok, and TikTok is different from Instagram.
That's true.
On and on. Every platform has a unique take on it, and that's why they're special. And people don't realize there's a bunch of social media platforms on all of these websites and on your app phone or whatever. Like there's a bunch of them on there, but there's only a couple that catch on, and the things that catch on are unique and they have resources back behind them. Those are 2 things that they're there for. But I like the idea that each of these things is different and there's a unique character to it. So if I just want to play videos, well, I'm going to go to YouTube. I'm not going to go to Snapchat, or I'm not going to go to Instagram. I'm going to only go YouTube. If I want to live stream, I'm going to go to Twitch. That's what Twitch is for. Everybody has their space, and they can be in the world at the same time. Now, when you have a Twitch competitor and a YouTube competitor, that's when things get murky here. Yeah. And that's what we have for the streaming stuff for music. There's competitors, and they do a better job of doing the job that you had. And so we got to be wary about that. So what other topics did you want to get into?
Yeah, let's get off of Facebook and Spotify because
We cranked up like a half an hour on it. So.
I know, right? Because I can go on and on and on about those.
Oh,
Let's talk
absolutely.
about your Canadian brethren. Your boy. Oh my goodness. Okay, check it out, right? So the weekend is basically boycotting the Grammys because he feels that he was snubbed, right? And I think that's up for
Yeah.
debate. I mean, it's just like, okay, you have a really great album. Do you have a great voice? That's the debate going on out there. It's just like he doesn't have a great voice. I mean, the album is cool, this, that, and the other. You can dress anyone up. You can dress a video up.
Yeah.
With great effects and a great storyline and everything else. But he was snubbed, and other people are boycotting the Grammys as well, Drake and some other artists. And I'm just like,
solidarity.
yeah, I mean,
like,
here's the thing, right? Does it really
Yeah.
matter, right? Because previously, years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was a big deal to have a Grammy, to get a Grammy, right? That meant that you're actually getting more money. So now, you have a Grammy, Grammy winner, DJ Keo is performing at, the Spy Club. The Spy Club now has to pay you more money because you are a Grammy winner, right? Yeah. Does it even matter today? I mean, like because of like how things, right, because of like how music is consumed, everything is like online. Like, does that award even matter? And is the weekend, is he really hurt? I mean, are his feelings really hurt by this here?
I've been in the music industry for a long time. And I've never cared less about a single award show than I do right now about the Grammys. I can't remember the last time I watched it, or let alone just seen a clip from it for a performance or anything. I cannot.
I can't remember
honestly,
the last time I watched
remember the last
the
time
Grammys.
I used to sit down religiously and watch the Grammys. And then I used to go talk to my friends the next day about, did you see this performance? Did you see what they were wearing? They were there. I used to talk about all this stuff. And today, I can't remember the last one that I cared about. I would say maybe no, because that wasn't Grammys. The one where Kanye that was
that the Billboard
MTV.
Awards?
No, that was MTV.
MTV
Music Video Awards.
I was about to ask you which which award show. I think the last award show I watched, and that's anything music, like movies, anything like that. Which award show was it that Beyonce, she performed Who Runs the World Girls, right? And she did that performance, and they were like saying, oh, she bit this like sort of performance from this Italian like artist. And in that performance, she actually she was pregnant during that performance. But that performance, dude, I watched that performance because they showed the 4K version on YouTube. I watched that performance live, and then also on YouTube probably 20 or 30 times. Now, not because, I'm into Beyonce like that, right? But there were times when Beyonce in that video sort of like screwed up, right? But dude, she is so good. She was like, bam, she did one step wrong, and then a nanosecond later, she was back on. I was like, she is amazing. That was the last time I watched an award show. And even Jay-Z and like other artists used to say like the parties were good, but they don't even go anymore, even though they may be nominated. It's just like, I don't go anymore, I mean, Jay-Z was snubbed. I mean, he was nominated 7 or 10 times, and he was snubbed. It's just like, do they even matter?
Won Grammys.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about an industry now where people don't put anything into the creative part of it. Like, as far as, I mean, you have artists like maybe Lady Gaga or Kanye, or there's a couple other artists that actually are talking about the stage show and the stage presence and trying to make it into a thing. There's very few of those people. But those are the reasons why you would watch an award show like that, because you couldn't go to a concert.
Yeah.
But I've seen Kanye in person. I haven't seen Lady Gaga in person, but like I've seen those kind of artists. I've gone to their concerts. So I've experienced that. So it's not as exciting to me to watch somebody walk back and forth on stage. Like that's not interesting to me. And I think that for the younger crowd who have access to music videos and unplugged shows and
They don't
got
care about
clips
stuff like
there,
this. Yeah.
to see the person perform is like whatever. Like, you know, people used to watch Saturday Night Live just to see an artist perform.
I watch the clips now.
Now, yeah, like
I go to YouTube. I
you can
watch
see
the
a clip.
clips.
But like the value of the award show was part of the performance and the award. But both of those things don't matter today in 2021.
My family,
nobody cares about those things.
My family, we used to, back in the day, you know, when I was younger, we used to like sit around the television and watch like the Grammys.
Yeah.
And you know, just like, hey. And here's the other thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say this. Well, not hate, because I don't use that word hate. But you take an award show like the BET Awards. I always joke about this, but I always say to myself, like, I mean, are there like 4 BET Awards a year? Because it's on all the time. It's like, does it even matter? You know? And here's the thing with the whole, like, the Weeknd thing, right? You know, he's an artist. There's a little bit of ego there as well. I mean, he did have he did have the #1 album on the Billboard charts for a little bit. You know, after his Super Bowl performance, I did say in a podcast that I am going to give him a listen, check him out. I gave him a listen. That is not someone I can listen to, someone I want to listen to, because I think he's, again, this is just me. I just think he's, it's just, I don't get the voice. I think there's some thinness there. You can hear and feel like what, like the audio engineers, his producers are doing to sort of thicken up his voice and everything. I mean, it's a great dance album. I mean, he's got some ballads on there. I'm not into the whole like whiny sort of voice like he sort of has. And is he more exciting than a Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or a Lil Baby or a Dub Baby? Is he as exciting as those people? No,
well,
he's
all those
not.
people are performing. So
right? No, he's not that exciting. You know, and there are other artists who are just like him, who are in his same sort of vein in terms of like his style, that are better than him. You know. It's like, no, it's just like, I kind of understand it. It doesn't matter, but you're not like all these other artists. So I get it.
Well, I think that his complaint too was that they're the people who were picking the Grammys, who gets to win one. It's the same crap that's been going on for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Since Aretha Franklin was singing, it's the same thing. They've never addressed it.
Yeah.
Like they've never addressed it. It's the same people picking the songs that are disconnected from the culture. And, you know, it's the same popularity type thing. Like we've how many award shows have you saw where a person won a Grammy versus the person who should have won? You know, like some like
all
a
the
folk
time
singer. It's just a random folk singer that they had a cello. I'm like, well, okay, well, it was unique, but was it really the best album that came out? Not really, no. You guys just banded together and picked it because of reasons. Like that's not the Grammy shouldn't have been handing out awards. Like, but that's the thing people have been complaining about. Public Enemy was complaining about it. LL Cool J was complaining about it. Jay-Z's complaining about it. Kanye's complaining about it. Beyonce's complaining about it. Like, how many generations has that been? We're going on like 4 or 5 generations of people are still complaining about the fact that the awards are the way they pick them is crap and it doesn't represent the people who are listening to this stuff.
It's almost like the NFL Hall of Fame, you know, like journalists are the ones who select those people. It's just like, really?
Don't get me started on NFL, man.
I'm like, dude, I mean, journalists? I mean, you can have a journalist who just hates you. He just hates you.
That's the thing. And the same thing with baseball.
Yeah.
There's people in the Baseball Hall of Fame who hate particular players, regardless of how good they were, how
Pete Rose,
transformative.
He should be in a Hall of Fame. I mean, he screwed up on some stuff, but, he should be in a Hall of Fame. I mean,
it's not the Baseball Hall of Fame of gamblers. It's the Baseball Hall of Fame. This guy was a coach and he was a player. He's got the most base hits of all time. Like,
he's like the Doug Flutie of baseball.
Yeah, like what are we talking about? I thought this thing was supposed to be about the greatest of all time for this particular thing.
Right.
And the Grammys, it's the same situation where people who are dominant in their field or excellence. At least the two. It's got to be one or the other, but it's neither. A person who sells 100,000 records is getting Grammy over the person who's dominant or transformative. That doesn't make any sense.
But anyway, I think The Weeknd, I don't know, man. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not, he doesn't, I'm not a huge fan of his. I think that, you know, post lockdown, he's going to go on tour and make a boatload of money.
Oh, they're going to
And
throw money
he's
at this
going to
guy's feet.
realize that the Grammys don't mean a thing. Your fans love you, you know.
I think he's flexing right now, honestly.
How so? Explain that to me.
I think that he's trying to let people, like he's trying to say like, hey, I'm so important right now. I'm such a big artist that if I don't show up, Grammy's numbers are going to dip, and see that you needed me to be here. That's I think he's trying to flex on them right now.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of people are going to want to like watch the Grammys to see, you know, artists, other artists perform, you know. And again, I think, you know, you're probably more than likely, you know, you're probably, you know, see, you know, people watching clips of it online opposed to just sitting down and watching the whole show, right?
Nobody is going to watch the Grammys live. That thing is going to be in the toilet. Like all of the award shows for the last 10 years have only been trending down.
Yeah.
Award shows in general, doesn't matter what it is, the Oscars, Tonys, doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
All of them have been trending down. MTV Awards, you name it. It doesn't matter. They've all been trending down because people in this current generation watch clips. They don't they don't sit down for 4 hours to watch the Oscars. They want to see who won. They want to see a performance if there's one. And that's it. They got other things to do. They got to go choreograph their TikTok video. They have time for the what?
Exactly. As we were saying a few weeks back, we watch the NFL clips. We don't watch the game.
Yeah.
We go right to YouTube and watch the clips. It's just like, hey, we saw the whole game in 9 minutes, right?
I think that, like, there's certain times, like, for my team, I'll watch my team. If the game's on TV, I'll watch it. But, like, I have stuff that is other ways. There's better ways to consume this content. And so because YouTube exists and Instagram exists, if anything crazy happened, I'm never going to miss it because someone's going to clip it and put it online. So me seeing it first when it was live doesn't really matter because everybody really, it doesn't take off when it first happened. It takes off a couple hours later. That's when everybody's like interacting with it. So I don't think that the feeling of I need to watch it when it happened isn't really there for you. Now, so Super Bowl and that kind of stuff like that kind of makes sense because you want to experience it live, and like maybe like the Australian Open or whatever for tennis, something. We want
or
to
the
see
Harry and Meghan
finals.
interview with Oprah Winfrey. You wanted to see that live, which got more views than like the Equalizer, which is, you know, Queen Latifah's new show, which I actually watched and I thought it was pretty awesome. But you know, let me ask you this here, right? So he did the Super Bowl performance, the halftime show. He was just snubbed by the Grammys. Do you think once come like a true, clear indication that there is a post-lockdown, like lockdown is done, do you think he's going to be able to go on tour and just smash the whole game up? Fill arenas, fill stadiums, you know, you think, I mean, and again, I believe he's going to have that ability because I think people, you know, he does have a fan base. I don't know how much money he's going to make, but I kind of think that, you know, after his tour or during his tour, you know, being snubbed by the Grammys, he's going to completely forget about that. Like the who?
Yeah.
I just made like $14 million just doing 5 songs. Dude, come on.
Yeah. I don't think there's pent up demand for concerts and live shows so that the second that people can go see one, even if you got to wear a mask and be 3 feet apart or whatever, they're going to go. People are going to absolutely go just to get out of the house and go do something. So
Right.
I think that touring and this kind of stuff, like there's people touring right now in the South, so let's not get twisted.
In Atlanta and Miami,
There's people
because
touring right now,
there was never a
but like,
pandemic in those cities.
yeah, but like, so what I'm saying is that there's pent up demand.
Yeah,
People traveled all over across the country to go to the NBA All-Star game because they had
that's
clubs
true.
open and
Yeah.
clubs were packed. They were full to the rim of people. So that's what I'm saying is that the second people can go in their city, they're gonna go. So I don't think that for him, for artists like that, for to skip the Grammys or whatever, it's not gonna have any effect on his career. He's only gonna go like the publicity that we're even talking about right now is only helping him.
Yeah,
Because
I
people
mean,
are like, well, I didn't hear the album. Let me go check it out. So
he
he's getting
had to
streams.
say something, though. You give it to him. He had to say something, right? And I also think that, for you to have the ability to tell your label not to submit your music for the Grammys, I also think that's powerful. Again, Drake did it. He's Drake is still in the game. I'm not a Drake fan, but Drake is a legend. I mean, like, Drake is going to be in a rap hall of fame. He's like
the numbers this guy's put up consistently.
Drake
people
is
have
a
to
beast.
recognize he's a beast.
And again, I like maybe 1 or 2 Drake songs. I'm not a huge Drake fan, but you know what? You cannot take that away from this guy. You cannot deny him. He came in the game and he smashed it. And he said, hey, I don't care about the Grammys. Don't even nominate me anymore. Don't even submit my music. And he's still making like he's caking up. So I think the Weeknd's going to be fine. I think it's okay to have a little temper tantrum and say, hey, you know what? I'm boycotting the Grammys now. It's just like, okay, but I think it's also, you also have to realize that know who you are, right?
Yeah.
Know like your capabilities, know your range, vocal range, and just keep it moving and go make your bags. Okay, so listen, let me ask you this here, right? In your lifetime, in your DJ career, how many times have you DJ'd back to back or like in the same booth with a female DJ?
Maybe once or twice.
I used to I used to DJ with this female DJ, 2 female DJs, here in DC, and it was pretty interesting because never done that before, and I was just like, wow, they're just as hard as me when it comes to like just wanting to like put a crowd in a trance, and taking a crowd on a journey. I mean, hey, they're people doing music. So, there is a documentary coming out. It's on Amazon. Huh? Yes. Okay, it is out. And it's on Amazon Prime. That's the other thing. So I got to watch it, right? It's called Underplayed. And it's basically, talking about the gender imbalance, the inequities of like, the male dominant, DJ industry. And, what's weird is like, there are a lot of female like producer DJs, that I follow, and I when they come out with something, I'm buying it. It's just like, Mary Jane came out with something, I'm buying it. And they they had DJ Duffy in here, and some other female DJs, and I understand bringing this to the forefront, right? But I may sound a little cynical right here, but but I also think that that's not an epiphany. Just take like female, like professional women's soccer. The U.S. women's soccer team has won more like, world championship than a men's U.S. soccer team. And they get less money, They're
Yeah.
made to wear different types of clothing so that they could look tighter, and they have to play on like astro opposed to natural grass.
Mm-hmm.
So those sort of inequities, as screwed up as they are,
Mm-hmm.
it's not an epiphany. Now, I think it's okay to sort of create a documentary like this, be able to put it on a platform like Amazon Prime, and sort of get it out there. I think that um, you probably need to do a bit more marketing on this so that it's in like more national publications, like maybe a BuzzFeed, or like a Daily Beast, or Axios or something like that. I mean, sure, you can put it in DJ magazines and DJ publications and things of that nature, but
Sure.
there needs to be like some other sort of marketing push, just so you can get the word out there, just so other individuals and people can really understand that, hey, there are these imbalances and inequities when it comes to gender,
Mm-hmm.
in the dance music DJ space. What do you think about that?
Well, I watched the documentary already, and
Mm-hmm.
I've always had the great working relationships with female DJs. Like I haven't played with them together, but I know a couple of DJs, and they're great. Like there's never been a question of do they deserve to be there or whatever. So I
Yeah,
think that the documentary is trying to say that there's a lack of female DJs in the space. And I agree that there's a lack of female DJs and female producers.
yeah,
But my question is, you know, is there interest to do this job? And I don't think that it's primarily a guy space, and I think it's just because of the type of job it is, not because there's no interest or because they're not good at it or whatever. Because all the female DJs that I've ever met have been great. They've been like dope,
yeah.
like just flat out. Like they've been beasts, and they have a passion for music, and they're used to being up all hours of the night and playing sketchy clubs and bars, whatever. Like they're used to that. Like that's just part. That's a
Right.
part of life.
Mm,
But like I was saying is that they're comfortable with the concept of it, and I think that the lack of female DJs is more about people who want to be in that space and to do the job, because you and I both know DJing is not as glamorous as being on stage and just doing this
yeah.
and being like,
It's
hey
like,
everybody, like it's that glamorous.
yeah.
It's the day-to-day dealing with crappy people that try and argue for money.
That's the real
The
corniness of it that,
that's
a lot of
that's
people
the thing. That's the
portrayed,
core of DJing.
Yeah.
The part of like I made a video about this, and I said that it's the before and the after of DJing I hate,
Mm.
but the being on stage part and playing music for people I love.
You said the
And
before and after, like setting up and
yeah,
then breaking down, or,
for the
just whatever it
breakdown,
is.
carrying the equipment,
Right.
arguing over checks, so how much money I'm supposed to get, you
Yeah.
know, going out to clubs, playing at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now I gotta take this stuff down. I gotta drive home by myself. I don't have any help. Like all that stuff I don't like. I don't care
Mm.
for. And like I was so thankful for the day that I didn't have to carry records anymore, and I could just pack my laptop up
Right.
and the gear
Exactly.
was there.
That was pretty cool, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
like I'm at the point
Once that
now
came
where
out.
I can DJ at a spot and just hop on the subway and go go and take the subway there and take an Uber home. I can do that now. I was
Yeah.
that was damn near impossible a couple years ago. So, like the experience and the overall of doing the job is definitely easier now for sure.
Mm.
And but it's the before and the after that kind of turns people off. And the other thing too is that I think for DJing, there's a lot of competition, and so you gotta be willing to play hardball and to do stuff that a lot of
Yeah.
people don't wanna do.
Mm.
And I think that's a factor for the gatekeeping, because like, they were talking about, in the documentary about, people who, they're stressed out and they had, like, nervous breakdowns and this other stuff, and it's the hard you're playing to DJ in the space now, especially for clubs and bars, there's somebody there, and for you to take that spot, you have to fire that person,
Yeah.
and that person doesn't want to be fired.
And it's,
So I'm saying is like,
right. It's tough to,
yeah,
you know, that whole space was like, you know, I mean, you know how DJs can be territorial sometimes. It's
yeah,
just
like
like, oh,
there's
here's a new DJ. He or she is better than me, but I'm not going to let that person, like, you know, spend a couple hours or 30 minutes,
oh hell
you
no,
know, between sets or something like that, because they may take my
no,
job, you know. And that's just
exactly,
like that's just the competitiveness of this industry as well. I don't know.
yeah,
I can't really, well, again, they are across the board, not just in DJing, but across in tech, you know, in business, across the board, there's obviously gender imbalances, inequities
oh for
that,
sure,
you know, I think governments, you know, just really need to tackle, right? So I think to hear something like this, again, I'm not surprised. I
well,
DJ'd with female DJs before. I actually hired.
yeah,
Now I was just thinking, I hired female DJs before because I just thought they were like I thought they had a better handle in terms of what I was looking for in terms of the style of music. I was like, so it wasn't even like I'm hiring this female, you know, this female
no,
DJ
like,
because she's a female DJ. I was like, no, I need a hip hop DJ. I like her. She's hot, you know, in terms of
yeah.
a DJ. You know, and I
I
was
vouch
like,
for
yo,
people to
come
get
over here.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I vouch for people to get jobs and that kind of stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's never been it. There's it's a small amount of people who want to do the job.
Yeah.
It's not a question of are they good enough or can they compete or whatever. It's just
Right.
there's not a lot of people that are interested in it. I think there's more females that would rather listen to music than go up
Mm,
on stage and do. Because I'll say this, all right,
mm.
DJing is intimidating.
It
Standing in
really
front
is.
of a
Mm.
room full of people
I
with
always
the
get
confidence
butterflies when I
saying,
start DJing, regardless.
absolutely,
I've been doing
it
it
doesn't
like for
matter.
over 20 years. And every time I like go out and DJ, I get butterflies every
Yeah.
single time.
When I'm DJing an event, the night before, I cannot sleep.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. And then I hate talking on the microphone.
Yeah.
And so
I
when
don't
I
talk on the
finally get
microphone
on
at all.
things and I gotta do it, like I just do it. Like like you know, like everything just drops off you and people start
Yeah.
dancing. All right, cool.
Mm.
Because you know, there's a for anybody who's a new DJ that's trying to do it and do things professionally, the first time that you go do an event and there's nobody on the dance floor and you have to coax them onto the dance floor, that is the scariest moment of your entire life. I don't care what you've done before that. That is the scariest thing that you've ever done because you have to have the confidence that says, I can play some music and this pattern and this way that can guarantee
Right.
everybody's going to get out of their seat and have a good time. Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, or sometimes you can get only a couple people, but like every time you DJ, you have to come with a fresh face of, well, last night it bombed and nobody danced, but this time I'm going to guarantee everybody in this room is going to get up and dance. There's no help. There's no safety net. No one's going to get like, hey, everybody, please help this person dance. Like, get on there, everybody, please. No, you're on an island by yourself.
Like,
And
this is a female DJ. Please help out. It's like, no, you get the same treatment as guys. Let me ask you this here. How does this relate to Harold Heath's book about like how 99% of DJs don't make it big? I mean, so you take these women DJs, these female DJs, I mean, if you're talking about 1% of DJs who make it big, you're competing with everyone else. So it's like, you know, it's a sticky situation because, you know, sometimes, you know, the race card is used in certain situations. Sometimes the gender, the gender card is used in certain situations.
Yeah.
You know, they were talking, I was listening to a podcast today and they were saying like up in Dumbo, Brooklyn, you know, this developer, the city said, okay, you can have this property, but, you know, you have to also create residence for low-income, affordable housing. So he had almost 1,000 units of affordable housing, and 87,000 people had applied for that housing. So it's just like what they say about the NBA. You may have like 1,500 slots and you have like 150, 200,000, college players trying to become NBA, players. So I don't see the difference in terms of,
it's the same
the
thing.
1%, because you may also say that you probably can make a case about what about African American, black DJs,
Yeah, like I think that if you take the argument at face value about why there isn't a lot of, but like outside of Carl Cox and like maybe a couple other people
Black
that you can think of
Coffee,
off the
people like
top of your
that,
name,
DJ Spinner,
like
right? Exactly.
just off the top of your head, like who's at a festival standing next to Tiesto and
Yeah.
Hardwell and all these
Todd
people, like,
Terry, right? Exactly.
yeah, exactly. Like you can think of like there's only a few people that are on that level, but
Right.
like I think that people have to understand for DJs, like sure there's haters and there's probably sexism and racism, but at the end of the day, there's only a minute amount of spots available that to a bunch of people who are trying to get into this one area.
Yeah.
And so doesn't matter how good you are, that's irrelevant. It's more so about your connections and how much work you're willing to put in. You can be lazy as all hell and you have all the connections, you're not gonna get any work.
Right.
It's not gonna matter. Like
Let me ask you this here. Would you really quickly, would you rather be a festival DJ or a club DJ? Now, let me just like clarify that like a little bit.
You got to do it all. Money's all the same.
money's all the same. See, okay, like when you're festival touring, it's festival season, so you're going like, it's all over the place. It's happening a lot. Whereas with clubs, a club DJ, you have the ability to select, which clubs you want to DJ in, and at a specific time to your liking and date to your liking. Whereas, if you're on a festival circuit, then, you're pretty much, it's dictated for you. So you're saying it really doesn't matter. Like, it's just the money's green. I'm okay with that, huh?
Yeah. I say if all things were equal and had a choice between the two of them, I would prefer probably the club DJing versus the festival. Because I know people are excited about, look at these thousands of people and they're all cheering for me, whatever. But like, I like the intimate thing of I can see people's faces and I can see them vibing out to what I'm doing.
And even though there are some huge clubs out there too, right?
Yeah. But like I'm saying, like if all things are equal, now if all things aren't equal, obviously I'd rather be in a festival. Like this goes without saying. But like if all things were equal, I think I have more fun and I enjoy myself more so because there's the connection with my audience that you don't really get when it's just blobs and dots at a point when there's 1,000 people in a crowd.
Right.
Like there's definitely that, that you don't have that emotional thing. It's more just of like a video game almost at that point. Say like if you're doing a intimate concert in a coffee bar or whatever, unplugged, you get more out of the unplugged than you do doing a Madison Square Garden or whatever. Some super.
Oh, that intimacy is so much better, isn't it?
It's something about the intimacy. So now that's why I said like you have to qualify it by all things being equal, because once you add money and fame and all this other stuff, things are different. It's a different thing.
I really wouldn't care less about the fame. Like that's why I've strategically chosen to DJ in places like martini bars and lounges, things that are a bit more intimate and sexy, where, you're just providing possibly background music. The atmosphere is a little different. I mean, I strategically chose that because, I've already DJ'd. So just like you, we've already done the whole club thing. Now we get to sort of pick and choose what we want to do. This documentary, how long is this documentary? Like an hour 45 minutes? How long is it?
Yeah, it's like I think an hour and a half almost. It's
so
not,
like throughout the whole, I mean, were you Was it intriguing? Was it done right? I mean, was the production
I
on it good?
The
I mean, how
production
was
was
it?
good. I
Mhm.
think like overall, like quality wise, I think it was excellent.
Okay.
They had a good director,
Mhm.
and how they presented the arguments were good. I disagreed with some stuff.
Right.
Uh, yeah, like there's things that because I think they're presenting DJing strictly as only the festivals, but
Okay.
there's
I was
other
about to ask
aspects
you
to
that.
DJing other than the festivals,
That's why I said,
and so
would you
like
rather be a festival or club DJ? And does it
yeah,
matter if all things were like, the same?
they're presenting you the festival DJ aspect of it, and so that's why I had disagreements overall about the message about it because I know a couple of female DJs, and in certain instances, there's benefits to being a female DJ, especially for in the Instagram day and age where people, you need to be visual now. Like for me, I'm not utilizing Instagram the way that I see a lot of female DJs are. So they have
Yeah.
the advantage of how many followers they're gaining, and with people like it's sexist to think about, but like beauty matters. If you look at
you know,
who's successful
hmm
in the female DJ space, very pretty feminine women are super successful
they
in
work
the
a
DJ
lot.
space.
Nina
They
Kravitz,
get
you know,
Yeah, they get gigs on a level that you haven't
yeah.
thought of before. And so
It's,
like
yeah.
there's pros and cons to this,
hmm
especially because I think that when you're looking at the festival, like you can make the arguments about who's on stage or whatever, but when you get into the club and lounge thing, a lot of the bar managers and the owners of these places are looking, well, how many followers do you have? How many people will come see
Isn't
you?
that silly?
And a
Yeah.
male DJs cannot compete
hmm
with the whatever Panda
Right.
DJ, whatever. Like what
hmm
I'm just throwing up some random name.
Right.
If
hmm
the girl who's on Instagram, who's spending time on Instagram, she will stomp whatever beast of a DJ who can do scratching with his ears. Like that
Right.
person, she will murder that person. And when it comes to getting into a bar or a club, like it's
But
not even close.
right. But it's
And
also unfortunate too because they've you know, when you look at the Instagram the
yeah,
Instagram female DJs, they're kind of sexualizing their art too, so
yeah,
that's kind of
there's
unfortunate
other
too.
things. I
Yeah.
know I know personally a female DJ who she's extremely pretty, and she's actually talented DJing, but she doesn't care about DJing. Her, like she knows, like like the technical stuff of blending the two songs together.
Yeah.
She's technical on that stat, but
Mhm.
she doesn't enjoy doing it, and she doesn't care about it. So, uh, I actually a friend of mine and me indirectly vouched for her to do an event because both of us couldn't do it, and so she went there and she was more so concerned about taking pictures and saying
Selfies
because
while she's
she
like,
was on a boat.
hey,
Yeah, she was doing
putting them
that.
on
She,
Instagram, like,
yeah, she was doing that.
yeah.
Hey, look, everybody, I'm on a boat, and look at them. Look, this outfit I'm
It's,
wearing, this kind
it's
of
just like,
thing.
hey, you're actually
And
working now, though.
yeah, but like, so the it was a company, and they wanted particular music,
Mhm.
and so she told the owner of the company, "Well, I don't want to play that because I think that song is corny." And I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, no. Like
Like, oh my goodness.
you're not at a club anymore. Like you gotta play what they want to hear. If they want to hear blurred lines over and over for 2 hours, you gotta play blurred lines for 2 hours. Their customers, they're asking for it. That's what they want. So, but
Oh
she was taking it
man.
from the aspect of I'm a club DJ and I'm setting a mood, and they didn't really understand what I was trying to give you. And I was just like, you can't, as a dude, I could never get away with that. And so like there's stuff like women DJs have to put up with a certain level of crap that I couldn't even begin to understand.
Mm,
And there's things that women DJs can get away with that I can't even begin to understand.
yeah.
And so as like when you look at it, especially for any DJ who's professional
Mm,
and who's not an a-hole, because there's a popular DJ, and he was an
Yeah.
a-hole, and he was harassing women and kind of stuff like that.
Oh, really?
If you get rid of these scumbags,
Yeah.
and then you just get to the regular people who are just doing a good job and they
Mm-hmm.
love music, whatever, and you put them out there and they tell their experience. I don't think that that's what I'm saying. Like for me personally, I don't feel like the female DJs haven't gotten a fair shake in this industry as far as it stands today.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 years ago, that was probably more so than today. But today, clubs and bars care more about Instagram and Snapchat
Yeah.
and
It's
how many
not.
people
Yeah.
are following me,
Right.
and can I put you on a picture, and is that going
Mm-hmm.
to get me more drinks and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
That's
They're more
ridiculous.
concerned about that
Yeah.
than they are about how technically advanced you are in playing songs and that kind of stuff.
That just goes
And
to show
so
you that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, what I'm saying is that the dynamic has shifted more so to popularity and to other factors
Yeah.
versus how good you are. And guy DJs who've been doing this stuff for clubs and bars and been here for a while, they've seen a shift of, well, we used to pay you a couple $100 a night, and now we're gonna pay you a couple drink tickets and maybe $50 because we didn't do that great at the door. Which we're like, the place is
Yeah.
full. What are you
Give me
talking
my
about?
money up front,
I
dude.
know how much money. Like I have
Give me
friends that
my.
are bar managers. Like I understand how much money passes through a club at a night, and you're talking about where's $50 and some free drinks. Like no, the industry is completely shifted, and
It's.
and so that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That people who've done it for a while, they understand that the industry has shifted, and it's not necessarily as sexist as it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there is sexism, it doesn't benefit certain types of people, but it benefits certain types of people. Like think about Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton would have never gotten into Ibiza unless she was Paris Hilton.
Right. Exactly.
There's no in a trillion years. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about there's owners and people party goers would have burnt the club down first before allowing her to play there.
She probably
But
brought
now
in a
she's
lot of people,
headlining.
though, dude. You know.
Yeah, but like let's say like somebody like Paris Hilton could headline a major club at Ibiza.
Yeah.
And so like that's what I'm saying. Like there's problems in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
but there's people who are utilizing the problems to their benefit.
It's.
And so
Yeah.
that's the part of that thing that wasn't addressed in the documentary. And I kind of wanted them to handle the larger issue overall rather than, well, there's just not enough female DJs.
Yeah.
I don't think that's not the question that you should be asking.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah. I think like just to zip this up, um, I think that you were talking about how like some people say, hey, you get paid a couple $100 and then it's just like some tickets and a drink because we didn't do too well. My thing is this, right? As DJs, you have to continue to look at this as a business, right? Just like, hey, you know what? If someone wants you to do something in a bar or a club or a lounge or something like that, dude, get your contract out. Have them sign a contract. Nothing starts until, you send me a check or you deposit a check, yada, yada, yada. I don't even DJ unless the money's already in the bank. It's like the money's in the bank on a Wednesday. I'm doing a gig on a Saturday. That's how, like, this is a business. It's just like, so, and if you go to any major city, there are like some of the baddest female DJs in that city who have residencies like throughout, in clubs in that, specific city. I mean, you take Baltimore, you take Washington, D.C., even Toronto, I'm quite sure, New York. Females are like killing it. Now, to say like, hey, you know what, we're being like, pushed out or we're not given a chance to become festival DJs. I don't know about that, but I also think that, you also have to, just make sure that you understand that, hey, this is a business. One, two, I don't like when men or women, even specifically women, when they sexualize, their art, Not unless they work in that industry, in the adult, entertainment industry. But if you're a DJ
Yeah.
and you're like sexualizing the whole thing, it's just like, I mean, so what is it? Are you a DJ or not, right? And then, for people to, again, club owners, may specifically say, hey, you know what? I'm going to bring this person in based
Mhm.
on, their social media, just how many followers they have, this, that, or the other. Not understanding that, if a
Mhm.
DJ has, 50,000, 100,000 followers, they're not all in the same city, right?
Yeah, I know.
Um,
I
right.
don't think about it like that.
Right. And I've never, ever, it happened to me once. Um,
Mhm.
and I've never, ever like gotten gigs where someone said, well, how many people can you bring in? It's just like, dude, I'm not a promoter. I'm a DJ,
Mhm.
It's like, you want to hire me to create an experience for your, party goers, I can do that. If you're looking for someone to bring in 100 people, that's not my style. But here's my
Mhm.
contract. If you're down with it, you can sign it.
Mhm.
I'll sign it. Money needs to be in the bank 3-5 days before the gig. I keep it
Mhm.
gully like that, dude. I don't know. I don't
You
even
have
play
to.
around. You
Because
know?
people don't realize how much hardball you need to do because
Yeah.
you can throw a rock and hit a DJ outside the middle of the street. Like they're
Yep.
everywhere. There's a bunch of DJs and they all want to take your job. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to protect yourself and not
Right.
do
You
crappy
do.
gigs.
Hmm.
And you have to realize when to say yes and when to say no.
Yeah.
And you also you have to recognize the business for what it is. How to sell yourself, how to get gigs. You have to recognize the business aspect, and people don't really understand the business of it.
Yeah.
So
But I would also
that's my take.
say, right, I would also say just I don't want to say stop complaining, but I would say, you know, I mean, if you think that you're being not given the opportunity, work harder. Put out
Well,
music. You know,
I think the people who are successful that are female DJs, they work at a level that you can't even fathom how
yeah,
hard they work for what they're
exactly.
doing.
Yeah,
And they're willing to put up with stuff that a lot of people won't. And
exactly.
so whether it's like, well, I gotta play at this crappy club so I can play at this better club, they're not just gonna be like, well, I don't feel like it, so I'm not gonna bother. Like the people who are successful are the people who put the work in. It
Right,
doesn't matter how you look at it. And so if there's not enough, it's partly because of that. And I think that has to be a factor when you look at it. It cannot be strictly, well, it's just because of sexism or racism, whatever.
right,
There's sexism, racism not going to go anywhere. It's going to be here forever.
right.
And especially if you live in a country where you're not the dominant race there, like, that's just going to
Exactly.
happen. There's nothing
Yeah,
you can do about that. But like how much work you put into it is the factor. And that's why I try and discourage people from being like, well, this those racism that then like there's
well,
successful people and they're people they work harder than you could
yeah.
ever fathom.
Hmm.
And you have to do that's the factor. How much work do you put into your
Gotta
Instagram?
work hard,
Do you
man, to
put
be
that into
successful.
DJing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that if there is sexism, you cannot let that deter you from, I need to be in a perfect world where it only works. And again, like I'm not a woman, so I can't understand, the crap they go through. Like that's clear. But I can understand racism.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I've done so many gigs where the person who booked me is racist as hell. And I'm like, I can't believe you said that in 2020 or 2019 or whatever. But I'm just like, I'm here for a job. And I'm like, yo, you probably shouldn't talk like that. But I'm still not going to let that affect me from working or from doing whatever I do.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, I'm old enough to be at the point where I remember racism when they actually meant it rather than, oh, I misspoke.
Right.
Like I'm past that. I'm old enough
Right.
to remember that.
Hmm.
The actual racism versus, oh, I said something stupid in a tweet.
Yeah.
We gotta move past that. We can't let words be devalued. And so I think that a lot of people are nitpicking in words and stuff like that. Words gotta mean something. if you call somebody a derogatory thing, like it's got to mean that thing, rather than somebody just said something stupid or they aren't paying attention or a slip of the tongue, whatever. I don't lose sleep over that, and
Yeah.
I think that it's a huge factor. But like overall, for female DJs, I would love to see more female DJs in the space. All the people that I've met have been, they've been really good. Uh, I think that it comes down to you have to have the work ethic and the attitude for it,
Yeah. Gotta have the
and
work
those
ethic.
things are the only things that matter.
Exactly. I agree, man. There you have it. Another cool episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I'm DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.